Welcome once again to the Life of a Marketer podcast. And today's guest is Ruben. Ruben, thanks for jumping on. Ruben, I'm just going to jump right into it, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Hi, Jared. Well, thank you for inviting me. First, for those who don't know me, I'm Ruben Alikhanyan. I'm a founder and the CEO of a PAS agency. That's a professional Amazon services, and we identify as your remote e-commerce department. Our organization operates as a remote e-commerce department and supports brands, organizations, or individuals with their e-commerce journey, whether you're starting or you've already in the process to navigate and grow. And part of it is being as one of the services as being marketing is a big part of it as well. So good to meet you all.
Ruben, so tell us a little bit more about what are you, go into details. Tell us about the exact services that you render to your clients.
Of course. So I have been in the e-commerce industry for years, more than a decade right now, and had a variety of ventures from a drop shipping to Amazon wholesale business to the point when I owned my own, launched multiple my own brands and had a successful exit in 2019. Had a variety of roles from a director of managerial, and the purpose of that was managing an e-commerce brands and launching and growing depending what stages they are. And then leaving the corporate job in 2021, the whole idea of starting an organization was being able to service the brands as their e-commerce department for those who do not have them, for those who cannot afford them, or serve as an extension for their existing e-commerce brands. Just solving two issues, the affordability and then the experience. There's common two things that are kind of lacking the corporation. In some cases, even big corporations who do $7-8 million in a, let's say, in a wholesale and retail, and do not know how to navigate the e-commerce. So that's where the purpose was the organization when I founded. At first as a freelance, and then later become actually full service department. And we manage it internally, pretty much any aspect of an e-commerce that you can imagine. That will include the catalog, SEO, copywriting, paid ads and marketing services, and the account management as whole, both on Amazon 1P, 3P, and also lately we started going into the Shopify, WooCommerce, as we do the web development and then on and off SEO.
Awesome. Very good. Thanks for mentioning that. That I got my attention when you said that there are large companies that do a lot, and they don't have any e-commerce department, which is fascinating in this day and age. That I thought those would be few and far between.
You'll be more than surprised as I was, and I thought I've seen it all. And like just a recent experience in company that, like, due to NDAs, I cannot name him, but you'll be surprised knowing that their knowledge of the e-commerce and the way things have been run is so small, or relied to one guy who's been accustomed to old ways and do not know the new ways. And if you look at it, thinking this organization has to do 10 times of what they're doing, and they do like such small. And it is, to my surprise as well, is much more common that it is anticipated. But that's goes back into speaking in the subject of how quick the e-commerce has developed, especially given after the COVID days, that something that was working 2 years ago and something that would have served okay for prior 10 years, it's not the same. Meaning within a short 2-year span, we got ahead probably 10 years ahead compared to the 10 years prior to that. So it's developed much faster. So a lot of organizations, even those big ones, are not kind of catching up and then staying their old way. So yes, there is that big gap. And I think organizations like us who are accustomed to working with corporations becoming either their main team running their e-commerce operation or an extension to their team, like to their director of e-commerce or manager of e-commerce operations. So yeah, that's kind of a part of it.
Awesome. All right. So switching gears, Ruben, tell us what's the best thing about being in the marketing industry?
Well, yeah, and amongst the many things that I've done as an entrepreneur, you've grown up and just wearing multiple hats, and then eventually finding the one that fits the well. The marketing is one that I believe fits the well, and one of the reasons is it was always fascinating how products are being sold. And going into the e-commerce was this, like, how you can take something that never existed yesterday and exists today, and now hundreds of people, then thousands, then 10,000, and millions of people are buying it. So the science of it was always fascinating to me. Initially, when I did not understand it, it was just like higher level locking into my brains. And then when I know more and more marketing, that become more deeper and deeper knowledge, and like just a factor of it, how you can take something, sell it, and find the most optimal way how to serve it to the audiences is what's always been interesting to me. And for years, I could not understand what the marketing was, if you cannot believe it. Like I would work in an organization that had a marketing department, and I could not really figure out what they were doing. But the curiosity of it, how to sell products, how to serve it well, how to start it from a scratch, and to create the marketing around it, how the others will perceive you, that's what gets me into it. Even right now, when I'm getting served an ad on an Instagram, it's like I pause there for a second and try to understand what this ad is doing to me on the flip side of the ad creator, to understand if this is I'm a right customer to it. Does the creatives entice me to take a next step, adding a click-through rate, or maybe adding it to conversion? So I think in a short answer, that is the science or the nature of being able to take a product that did not exist yesterday and selling to the masses, and finding the audience who's looking for your product is kind of designed for them. That's what's what gets me excited the most.
Awesome. Agreed. I follow along with that. So what sort of advice do you offer to those that are in the marketing industry right now?
Well, the two things, maybe sort of a cliche, but that I think the biggest thing to get into the marketing is going to be the understanding, was going to come from a passion. So, and to the other extent is having the passion, understanding how products are being sold, also the putting the effort behind it. So it's a one thing being interested and excited about the marketing aspect, but it's another thing to kind of put the actual work. So the passion is one thing, but you need to put the work in understanding some certain skills and knowledge. And thankfully to the technology nowadays and YouTube and every other, it is much more affordable and available before. So if I had to give an advice, the first thing, you have to like it. You have to be able to have that marketer personality of understanding product and selling. And second, you have to take time to learn certain techniques and skills, or even basic steps, to be able to be successful with it. So if I would give advice, if you have the passion, is one thing, great. And then second, you have to put the work behind it.
Awesome. So I'm gonna, if it's okay, I'm gonna ask you a few questions about e-commerce.
Of course.
When you are generally you're working with these companies, obviously maybe they need to work on their platform of where they're selling their product, because maybe they don't have that in play. But once you kind of have the base set up for these companies and for their e-commerce efforts, what are the first sort of marketing steps that you like to emphasize and you like to work on?
Audience, I think I started from there. And it's going to vary from product to product. Don't get me wrong. You have to understand it. I'll just share the recent experience. One of the things that I would start to implementing changes is understanding the audience, and then understanding, let's say I joined in and there is the web development team that create a beautiful website, and there is an also advertising team that directs the traffic. And that's kind of one of the common issues that we see that coming in, how we're going to improve it. So I started from there, as I would understand, does, first of all, those two things connect? Meaning the SEO guy, the web development, did they created the page that traffic generators are doing a good job bringing traffic? For example, if you're going to bring the traffic with a natural SEO or the organic SEO from a blog post that is catering to a certain degree, it's a high volume traffic coming to your website, does your website does a good job to cater to that blog post, so there's a conversion? So I would start dissecting the areas, starting from who our audiences are, where's the traffic coming from, and then the end post, which is the conversion. does all of that work together to make the customer, again, going back to the example that I said, when I see an ad, does this first, the landing point, then the traffic, then the final conversion page, good job to create a one funnel to make me to buy that product. So there should not be disconnect. And where I look at something, that is the one thing that I'm trying to understand. Between those three aspects, are there's a correlation? Are they working in unison to make that conversion, to find that right avatar on the pages, and then find the right customer, eventually finding the right audiences. So that's what I'll go for.
So tell me, and I'm thinking about right now a friend of mine who he has a clothing product that is unique, that is not really yet on the market, that he's designed. If you had to pick an area to focus on, let's say that we have a good landing page, good setup on his website, which traffic medium would you focus on first?
You said coding, right? Did I hear it correctly?
I'm sorry?
You said coding. Did I hear it correctly?
No, it's clothing.
Clothing. Yes, clothing. So
Yeah, he
yeah,
has it's like a jean that expands. It's like shapewear, but except it's a jeans.
here's the one I would go for right away. It's will be the blog post, and the blog post will be to understanding what the problem that jeans solves, and creating an issue with a blog post, and then adding your product as a solution to it directly to the link to your website. Then you have to make sure that your website does a great job when someone had that problem, read the blog post, and then followed through a link to your website. You convinced that your product is the right solution that he was looking for. So targeting the problem that your product is solving will be my best way to go. And I think the blog post will be one of the best ways to kind of targeting it, because you need to educate them, right? If it's something that is common, they know, that is a bit different. When they do not know, you have to find something common that they can recognize themselves with, and then bring the solution, and then add your website. That's how I'll address it.
And so would you, if you're going to do SEO, would you focus on the keywords that have to do with the problem?
The SEO and the keywords, they definitely have to be there. That's kind of a part one. That is an absolute necessity for your recognition as a website recognition. So that will be the second part of it. Like, you have to build that first in order to get into the on and off SEO. That's the difference. So the on SEO will be optimizing your keywords, optimizing your pages, linking within, and then looking for the external sources to drive in, which will be the blog posts. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing all that. Definitely gave me some food for thought to kind of help my friend out a little bit as he's putting together his product. All right, so changing gears a little bit, who would you, let's see, what other successful people in marketing like yourself would you like to acknowledge that should be on the podcast?
Who I think you'll do a great job if you invite. It's one of my kind of very early on motivators to get into the e-commerce. Stephen Pope, he's owner of My Amazon Guy. It's a large Amazon agency, and he's been, for a long time my mentor and coach into going into this. So I think you'll have a great time, and he's a marketer in his heart as well. So I think a great time speaking to him. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks for that recommendation. All right, for our final question, just for fun, tell me the oldest technology you remember using.
That'll be the spreadsheets. as benign as it, but the spreadsheet is probably the oldest technology for the e-commerce business that I'm using, and I've been using it since as part is in a different ways that I used to, but it's definitely the one that came across my mind that I'm still attached to.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. All right, Ruben, we're gonna end here. Thanks for coming on today. Our life of we keep our podcast short, but the Life of a Marketer podcast, you can find us on Tuesdays and Thursdays at around 11. We try not to release it right on the hour. So if you come across our podcast, I really recommend you subscribe on YouTube, but we do stream it on various social media profiles such as Facebook, Instagram, etc. So you can find us there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you come across us, please please subscribe, please give us some love. We'd really appreciate it. And once again, Ruben, thanks for jumping on today. This has been the Life of a Marketer podcast.
Thank you for the invite, Joe.